Hi. This is a thrill for me. And Nicole Holofcener is here. Writer, director, Academy Award nominee.
Yes.
By the way, you picked a couple of Hal Ashby films.
I did.
Which Hal Ashby films have you chosen?
I picked The Last Detail and Coming Home.
We're going to do those in reverse order. The Last Detail, I think, was Hal Ashby's third film. Coming Home 5 years later, that's our first movie of 1978. Jon Voight, Bruce Dern, and of course, really the linchpin of it in many ways, Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
I want to get back into your career and how you, what drew you to movies. But first, I love finally somebody picked a couple of Hal Ashby films.
Oh, good,
for this.
good. That was easy.
From 1970, when he directed his first film, The Landlord, until 1979 and being there, he made 7 movies in 9 years. And it's like an Alfred Hitchcock-like run of great films.
And they're all amazing.
All of them, all 7
amazing.
are totally
I've
worth
made
it.
7 in my lifetime.
Right.
So let's just put that in perspective.
Right. And he did it in 9 years.
Yeah.
So what is it about Hal Ashby films that make them, I mean, really important for film fans to see and then just make them feel so entirely authentic?
His movies are honest and intimate and spare and done with so much heart and humor. He gets the best performances out of his actors. He inspired me from day one to want to make movies like him. I don't know, they really, really move me, and they make me glad to be human and glad that I have the opportunity to make films.
A lot of things I could focus on there. You chose the word sparse. I think that's a great and keen observation, but it's not like things don't happen in the movies.
Oh,
and
no.
yet and I mean, that's a tough line to, right? Like, he doesn't fill it with action, but it still feels constantly sort of moving forward, even though, yeah, I agree, they're sparse.
Well, the characters move the story forward, and that's what I love about them so much. And there's a plot following the characters, and that's what I strive to do. He doesn't put in a plot and then find some good actors to fit into the plot. I think it's the other way around.
Coming Home, for those who don't know, is the story of the adjustment for Vietnam veterans after service. It's set in 1968. Jon Voight, we meet in the movie. He's already been wounded. Jane Fonda and Bruce Dern are married, and Bruce Dern is a gung-ho officer, very excited to go over. And she is a reluctant but willing Army wife.
Yeah, she doesn't really know who she is.
She
just wants to be a good girl for her husband.
First of all, let's just throw this in here. Even though Jane Fonda is such a great actress. I don't know, somehow I feel like... No, but I mean, because she's a personality and because, I mean, she's so, her persona has become big that I think it's easy to think of her as just a movie star or just glamour. But No, her best work is she just dissolves into the character. Yeah, and she does here.
Yeah.
There's a moment when Jane Fonda invites Jon Voight over to her home. Her husband is off in Vietnam fighting. And she starts to light a fire in, we presume, July.
Yeah.
Right, at the beach.
Yeah.
And then stops herself and she's giggling. Like, oh, no, I'm sorry. She's so nervous.
What am I lighting a fire for?
It's the two of them maneuvering around this tiny space. And it's ridiculous. She's just so nervous. And it's wonderful.
And you were really seeing 3, I use this term in the best possible way. These are 3 professionals doing their job and who really understand it and do it well. Yeah. And people should know that Hal Ashby used a number of wounded Vietnam vets as wounded Vietnam vets. So in a sense, you almost have to improvise because there's so many non-professional actors in small but important
But they're
roles.
so natural. They seem so at ease and also so, I think, thrilled to be able to tell their stories.
Yeah.
I think,
that seems
it's
really likely.
really sad. It's not fun.
No, there's some lovely, light, funny moments in this movie, but this is a really difficult.
It's a heartbreaker.
It's a heartbreaker, but it's an important movie. All right, let's watch it now. We'll come back,
great.
talk afterwards. Here it is from director Hal Ashby in 1978. Jane Fonda, Jon Voight, Bruce Dern, Coming Home. I'm back here with Nicole Holofcener, Academy Award nominated writer, director, who's picked 2 Hal Ashby films as part of her double feature. Thank you for picking 2 Hal Ashby films. First of all, let's talk about that ending. You have read that the screenplay was not, this was...
No.
Some of it was improvised.
Yeah, I read 3 of the screenplays. The first one was Nancy Dowd, and then Waldo Salt and Robert Jones.
Yeah.
And Nancy's was completely different. I didn't recognize it. I had to keep looking. Am I reading Coming Home? So different. And then I read the subsequent ones, and, like every movie, it's different.
Bruce Dern taking his clothes off, putting them on the lifeguard stand and walking into the Pacific to commit suicide. That was not in any of the screenplays that you read?
No, it wasn't in any of the screenplays. And apparently Hal told him shortly before he had to do it. And he was like, okay, Jane's going to be going food shopping with her friend. John is talking to a bunch of students, which was improvised, by the way. His whole speech to those students about having a choice, which is just killer.
With the serving Marine having spoken
sitting there
right before.
and clearly being moved as well.
Right.
And then, Bruce, you got to take your clothes off and jump into the freezing ocean.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is not fair. Yeah, I have a feeling, a lot of the movie was like that. They just put them in a room often and let them go.
Each one of these performances is so sensitive. And Voight essentially plays two different characters. There's the enraged John Voight, the enraged Luke that we see at the beginning of the movie, and then the character at the end is a completely changed person. I suppose in the hands of a lesser actor, that might be jarring, but it feels like this natural, completed journey for Voight, aided by, of course, by Jane Fonda.
Being in love, I mean, he was
yeah.
so mistreated in the hospital, they all were, and that would create a monster to be treated like that. But I do want to say the movie is very much about being a man and what kind of man a person can be.
That's not a question that you ask in your movies, but you ask the mirror image, or I guess not really the mirror image, but you ask the version of that, or what kind of woman are you?
Sure.
Is that, is that how it's supposed to be? That a man like Hal Ashby would ask that question, and a woman like Nicole Holofcener would ask it of...
Nah.
No, that's just...
I could ask it of fellas.
You could?
And he could do this. I mean, I just think, if you're good, you're good.
Right.
Some directors or writers do have a deficit in that area, but he didn't.
Well, first of all, Catherine Keener is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love Out of Sight. Love it.
Oh, Out of Sight.
And
not one of mine? What's up with that?
I know. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Never mind. That was a good movie.
It was good.
She's good in a lot of movies I didn't make.
She's been good in other movies.
I can live with that.
But you use her a lot.
Yeah.
And you've used Julia Louis-Dreyfus 2 straight times. I'm curious just what that comfort level is. I mean, is that because you want to? Does that put you at ease?
No, it's just because I feel really bad for them.
Right, you feel
I know it would really hurt their feelings.
Well, there you
if
go. I was going to say, it's going to hurt their feelings, right?
No, I mean, Keener, I wrote some parts for her. And once you have a great experience with an actor and you feel like they've really elevated my material and had a great time making it, why not use them again?
Right.
And same with Julia. We had a blast. And I wrote You Hurt My Feelings for her, hoping that she would want to do it. And she did.
Not a lot of arm twisting?
No.
It's a wonderful film, available, by the way,
somewhere.
And TCM fans will like it. Like, no helicopters don't run into buildings in it. It's about people trying to live their lives. Nicole, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good news is Nicole's not going anywhere. She's got another Hal Ashby film for us, the second half of her double feature. Stick around, because from 1973, The Last Detail is next on Turner Classic Movies. Back with Nicole Holofcener. Writer, director, Academy Award nominee.
Yes.
By the way, the second half of your double feature here is The Last Detail, another Hal Ashby film from 5 years before Coming Home. Different type of movie. It's his third film as a director from 1973. Jack Nicholson at the top of the cast, Randy Quaid, Otis Young. You'll catch a little glimpse of Gilda Radner and Carol Kane. What draws you to The Last Detail?
As soon as I watched it, I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. This is a 3-character road movie about, these men who, like in Coming Home, discovering what kind of men they are. Yeah. And also, a coming-of-age story of watching Randy Quaid bloom.
Yeah, the story is that they're assigned to take Randy Quaid from Virginia to a prison in Maine. And it is, as you said, it's a road trip movie. It's about that journey to Maine.
Kind of like a family.
Kind of like a family, right. I mean, they fight, they come together. It's really a pretty spectacular story.
Yeah.
It is really hard not to be, at various points of the movie, rooting very hard for these guys. And you don't even quite know what you're rooting for.
Yeah.
Like, you think at times, are they going to let him go?
Well, I know what I was rooting for, but
Well, tell me, and we won't tell what happens, but what are you rooting for as you watch?
Well, that would tell what happens.
All right,
so
fine. We'll tell them afterwards what you were rooting for.
Okay.
They meet all sorts of interesting characters along the way, good people, bad people. I think I've only seen it twice. I liked it the first time I saw it, maybe 15 years ago, and here again, I just sort of...
Still amazing.
Yeah. And the casting of Randy Quaid is super interesting because this is a Robert Towne screenplay. Robert Towne had no interest in Randy Quaid, partly because he thought he was too big. John Travolta was the last other actor up to this
really?
point.
I didn't know that.
And Towne wanted Travolta. I know he didn't quite get what Hal Ashby had in mind, but Hal liked the idea of this incredibly naive, innocent.
He was like a spineless puppet.
That's right. Huge. Right.
And completely out of control of his body, like it was someone else's.
Yeah, like he shoplifts compulsively.
Right.
He's got handcuffs on and he's stealing candy bars.
Yeah.
It's genius.
Yeah.
But that casting of him, this big, innocent lug, I think really helps fuel this story.
I'm taking you to jail.
That ain't your fault.
What is this little magic in Hal Ashby's movies? There is a through line between these 7 pictures he makes between 1970 and 1979, I think, but you would know better.
I don't know about that, but the quiet nature of their relationships and the humanity in every scene and the conundrum of what's ethical and what's unjust is in every scene without ever saying it. It's subtle. Again, a lot of single frames with a lot of action going on within a room. And these 3 men interacting in a room and how they change and what happens is just amazing to me.
But everything's led by Nicholson. It's like he makes every big decision and the other guys sort of have to go along with it or fight with him.
We're most concerned about his decisions because he definitely is the leader of the gang.
If any of these decisions are reckless, and some of them are, he's the one making these reckless decisions. And I think every one of these Hal Ashby films, there is this recognizable humanity, but it's never, ever, I don't think there's a moment in any of these films where it's hokey.
No, in fact, when people have watched the end of The Last Detail, I'd like to talk about that.
Oh, well, all right, we'll do that. All right,
Okay.
we'll save that thought. Well, then we might as well just watch the movie.
Cool, let's watch the movie.
Yeah. Here it is from 1973, directed by Hal Ashby, screenplay by Robert Towne, Jack Nicholson, Randy Quaid, Otis Young, The Last Detail. Back with Nicole Holofcener. Nicole, good to see you again. Thank you.
You too.
So now we've just seen The Last Detail. I wanted to ask you about the way that you said it. There's a tenderness, it's a word I have trouble with, but there's a tender-heartedness.
You can do it.
There's a tender-heartedness to Hal Ashby movies, but I can't think of a moment when they get hokey, and that's, it can happen so easily in movies.
Right.
It's okay. Sometimes hokiness is okay. I don't mind it sometimes. But it doesn't happen in Hal Ashby movies. How is that? How did he avoid it?
He has really good taste. I mean, I think really that's how you avoid it and to catch it before it comes.
Yeah.
There's 2 scenes that I could remember that are good examples of that. When Randy Quaid is kind of forced to go visit his mother and she's not home and he doesn't want to go in because he knows what it looks like inside, but he never says it. And then Jack opens the door and we just get a shot of the room and it speaks volumes. And Randy Quaid says this lovely line.
I don't know what I would have said to her anyway.
You can imagine how many ways there are to shoot that scene.
Right.
And the ending, which is always a shock to me, the way that the guards just immediately drag Randy Quaid up the stairs. And there's no hug. The fellas are so startled by the way it ends.
They're
he's
doing
gone.
what we're doing. They're staring.
Yeah.
Like wait, that's it.
That's it? And, another person might have made a hug or
not even
something
a look.
Teary, not even a look.
Like I thought, and I'd seen it before. And in my head, I'm so conditioned to it.
The ending, yeah.
That as they're out walking away,
right,
you'd get a call. Like just, thanks for the trip, fellas.
Right.
See you in 8 years.
Right.
And they'd look back or something.
Right, something.
Nothing.
He doesn't even glance back. The walk to the prison where he almost falls over and the 2 men hold him up. And it's like, you don't need to see the front of this shot.
No, yeah.
You see everything from the back. And that's just really good taste, I think.
this trip didn't end perfectly, right? He did try to escape, and they did try to, and they beat the crap out of him, or at least Jack did, right?
Yeah.
And then that sort of, there wasn't, you don't get a perfect little moment where you get to make up with everybody in your life at exactly the right time.
Right. In terms of who to root for, I mean, I just wanted them to let him go more than anything. I thought when he's standing there and they're standing there, at the end in the snow, and you don't know what's going to happen, it's like a duel. And I'm hoping, just go. And they would say he ran away, he got away.
We looked everywhere for him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. And
if you're human, you would have wanted that ending.
I wanted it. I just knew it couldn't happen.
No, because those guys are going to cover their own asses.
Yeah, and the Navy's going to come down on them.
Yeah.
Even Quaid even says it. I mean, when the woman offers him Canada, he's like, no, it'd be their asses, right?
He's my best friend. I thought one thing that was really strange. Can I talk about something that is strange?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, Nicole.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
The whole sequence in the hippie party. And the woman who does the chanting with him, it almost felt like, what's happening here? She was so interestingly cast.
I mean, she looked like his mom.
Yeah.
Right.
And yet they were all kind of rooting for him to have sex with her.
But I took that as that was just a little slice of 1973.
Right. It was the turn of the tides.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like, if he makes that movie in 1975, that whole scene is probably not in it.
Right.
It was just this little moment in time.
Which is similar to Coming Home. In, that they're living, Jane Fonda's character is living as a 50s housewife, and by the end of it, she's become a hippie.
Right, she's become, liberated. Politically, right.
Very different.
Nicole, this was wonderful. Nicole
Thanks,
Holofcener.
everybody.
Not everybody says goodbye to the crew. That's fantastic.
They don't?
No.
And they don't say bye back to me anyway, so. I said, bye, everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Nicole is clearly done for the night, but the movies continue. Look, she's getting up. She's leaving.
Can't I get up?
We're still doing an outro. But the movies continue on TCM, and as always, they are uncut and commercial free.
Oh.
Now you can go.
Oh. Did you do it?
I did.
Was I talking?
I would love it if they used that. It's inconceivable.